Welcome to Korg's Headphones, a pop culture podcast. I'm Luke. The other hosts are Johnny, Kevan, and Farid. In this episode, we broke down the current season of What If, the most recent episode, the future of the MCU, and then also we ranked our favorite MCU movies. Going forward, we'll be streaming live on Twitch at 10 p.m. Pacific time, as well as uploading on YouTube and to wherever you get your podcasts on Saturdays. Normally, we'd be talking about all of this stuff. You wouldn't get me at the beginning of this, but we had some technical difficulties on our last showing. And by technical difficulties, I mean I forgot to hit record. So going forward, you won't get this boring part of me talking, but I had to explain what happened. Without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Thanks.
At the end, but then becoming a giant zombie.
That's dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I just thought, that was an interesting one. And then the heroes that survive at the end. It's just like, from who's left in that situation, how do they move forward? Because they kind of got hurt the most, like almost arguably more than when Thanos comes and snaps an Infinity War. Like that took out a lot of heroes, that zombie situation. And so I'd just be interested to see if there was a spinoff from that. Obviously, that's not going to be one of the ones that they pull into Phase 4. That makes everything crazy. But I thought, again, that sparked a lot of thoughts in my head personally.
Agreed. I think for me, the two episodes for me that are at the top are the T'Challa one and Zombies. And the thing about the difference between those two that I like so much about the Zombies one is I think the Zombies one could be its own series in itself, where the T'Challa one was one that kind of pulled on me a little bit, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I hope there's like a second episode to this. But I'm not as interested in seeing like a full season of that, where I would be much more interested in seeing like a full series on Marvel Zombies, Walking Dead, but Spider-Man is Rick Grimes, and it would make me just like so much happier.
Yes.
So
there's a new sheriff in town.
Exactly. Great reference. So Doctor Strange. Well, actually, I want to go back for just a second. So the world lost its mightiest heroes. Did any of you guys first expect, or when did you know it was Hank Pym, and did you expect it to be him earlier than, like, let's say, Black Widow dying? Because that's about where I figured out it was Ant-Man or Yellow Jacket. But I didn't expect it to be Hank Pym, but I knew it was someone that had the Pym particles. So did you guys have an earlier thought about that, or were you about the same as me?
I was about the same. I actually, I think I drew the same conclusion. I was like, okay, it's got to be one of these small heroes, because it can't be a big one. But after that scene, I thought back to when she had like the bullet thing, and I was like, oh, that would make sense if it was one of the small ones, because that thing was like all busted up. And I think they actually showed it later in the episode. I can't remember, but it was probably around the same time that you had that thought, that I was like, oh, it's got to be one of the smaller shrinking characters. But yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, I had no idea.
Yeah. Thanks for being honest.
I'm with you. I'm with you guys about the same time. Just got to be someone who could get away with it because of size. But yeah, that was it. That's one I got to rewatch again. So I wasn't diving deep into thoughts trying to solve that one too early, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I did think it was kind of cool how they showed Fury at the end, like kind of playing mind games, and I thought that was interesting because we've seen him in action before, but this was kind of a little different kind of twist on his intellect and how he can kind of beat somebody without having to actually fight them.
Well, and I think this sets up, which I want to talk about maybe a little bit more later on, but I think this sets up kind of what we're talking about with having a season 2 of What If. I think that a lot of these episodes are going to be like a series, but per season. They've already talked about that they're having a second season of What If.
Really?
I don't know if it's been confirmed. Johnny might actually know that better than I do. So if that's the case, then my assumption is that there'll be multiple episodes, maybe not all of them, but it'll be kind of a series. And like most of them have set up scenarios, and maybe it'll be inside this season. We see some of the episode 2s, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. So the last episode, which is yesterday's episode, it's not the last episode of the series. I think incredible
Most
episode. I think
It was awesome.
It was
That-
very
it
well
was so
done.
That's the
cool.
number one that I want to see have a second episode too.
Very cool.
That's number one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Well, I
really,
gotta
really
see the
cool.
sequel.
Yep. Yeah, Killmonger goes and rescues Tony Stark right as the Jericho missile's about to hit him, and he throws it into space, which that man threw that thing like it was a golf ball. But
Yeah, so I didn't understand that. Like,
Which doesn't make sense because he's not the Black
Yeah,
Panther. He
exactly,
doesn't have
yeah.
any type of powers like that. He's a regular guy. at that
exactly.
point.
yeah, that's why I was also confused. That's
Good
why.
observation.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of it. I just thought, oh, he's strong, man. But I did not even think that's a good observation. I did not think about that.
So yeah, I thought it was that's the number 3 episode for me. I really enjoyed it, but I think that what I like about that one, the zombies one, we also need to talk about Doctor Strange. I just realized, but in Doctor Strange was that it wasn't the same story. It was completely different than what we've seen in the past. And like the world's lost its mightiest heroes, it was a different story, but it was still kind of the same. Like we saw everything that led up. Like Doctor Strange, the beginning was the same, but then it completely took a turn that we weren't expecting. Which we should talk about superior heroes. So like Doctor Strange, kind of like engulfing all of the powers of all these different heroes and characters and mystical beings. Do you think we'll see more of that in like the MCU with more, world altering like powers as we see in the comics of people taking over, like because we're getting multiple timelines and all of this? Are we expecting more of that in the MCU live action, or do you think it's going to stay more in the what if stuff?
I think in Multiverse of Madness it will, just because of how Wanda finished up in WandaVision, right? Like we find out the last episode and a half that she's literally controlling a however many mile radius with her powers because she's so obsessed and trying to get Vision back. And we see powers from her that we'd never seen anything like that from her yet. And then she's, supposed to be in Multiverse of Madness along with a couple other characters that have mystical powers like that. And it's, Multiverse of Madness. We've seen now Loki and how there's the sacred timeline and all the branches, and there's going to be some sort of mixture and chaotic sequence. Like you got to expect that Doctor Strange is going to be able to figure something out. Maybe not absorb powers from those like he did in the, if he lost his heart episode, but he's got to get some new tricks up his sleeve. He did some pretty big things in the Infinity War and Endgame back-to-back movies, and I feel like we got to see some things like that from him and Wanda at a minimum in the next movie. Well, his next movie.
Yeah, I think we'll be seeing some. I don't know like to what extent, but I mean it already is getting like pretty dark with some stuff. I mean with that episode, that was.
And they say it's going to be like a horror movie.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean that with Multiverse of Madness coming up, and I mean going forward with Wanda, I feel like kind of her whole story, I feel like is going to be pretty dark. But even through What If, like we've been seeing a bunch of dark stuff. I mean, Vision feeding T'Challa to zombies, probably that was
Dark.
Come on, man.
Savage.
Yeah, but I mean, there's even it's been a couple times in What If that has been like, yeah, that's pretty dark for sure.
I could not watch the Doctor Strange episode. I had to pause it. I'm like, I cannot see this girl die anymore. Like I cannot see this car accident. First of all,
imagine how he felt.
Oh my goodness, I cannot imagine. First of all, that car, you're wrecking a Lamborghini 57 times. That's 57 more times than a Lamborghini ever needs to be wrecked. And secondly, her neck snapping, and like, I don't know if you guys could tell, but anytime there was an accident, the editors made sure to include that sound. So it was always like, it's like, bro, I cannot keep watching this over and over again.
Jeez. I'm interested to see. I think that I didn't think about that, Johnny. The Scarlet Witch, thing, and with her being confirmed in the Multiverse of Madness, I'm interested to see what other heroes are going to be in that movie. I don't want to talk too much about the Multiverse of Madness in this episode because we have a lot of movies just this year that we need to get through. But that's a great point, and I think that we might have to do a full dive into the Multiverse of Madness as we get closer and have a trailer to break down and everything as well. Mm-hmm. let's finish this up. So I'd like to go through and actually, we've kind of hinted this a little bit, and actually rank our what if episodes, how we enjoyed them personally, see where we compare, and go like this. So Fred, why don't you start and go, what was your favorite, or you can go however you want, favorite, least favorite, start wherever, and then go from there.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about it. I think my favorite is probably the T'Challa one, where he becomes Star-Lord. My least favorite is, it's tough. I like all, I've enjoyed all of them, but my least favorite is probably Doctor Strange. And yeah, do you want me to rank? Like, I mean, that's
No, that's
yeah.
fine. That's good. Let's do favorite, least favorite.
Cool.
Johnny, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, mine's definitely T'Challa, Star-Lord. It's I mean, that one's just special, but it's even so closely followed by Zombies. I thought the Zombies one was just so much fun, and just seeing something completely new, as we did with Star-Lord. But yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, my bottom one was Captain Carter. I just felt like it was too much of the same story, just swapping out. With that being said, I do expect to see her somewhere in the future in live action, but yeah.
Kev, what was your favorite? Well, we know.
Well, yeah, the zombies one. The zombies one was my favorite one, and then the Killmonger one is probably close second. The one yesterday,
Yeah.
but like also to me, like Farid said, like these were all enjoyable. Like if these were ranked by points instead of first through last, then they're all going to have a pretty similar ranking. But not to break these guys' heart, but unfortunately, probably T'Challa as Star-Lord was my least favorite
Wow.
one. Not because it was bad or anything like that, but just yeah, I don't know. It was just maybe too different for me. Just
Fair enough.
it was weird to see him as another character. Not again like it was bad. It was just yeah.
Yeah.
That one and the Hank Pym one are my bottom two that just kind of again get in my attention on certain things. Not that they're bad, but
You said that in which one?
I really like this. And the World's Mightiest Heroes. I like the Peggy Carter one. I thought her as Cap was interesting. That changes the whole Captain America dynamic. Iron Man was made during World War I or II. I can't remember right now.
Two.
But or it would have been two. Two, yeah, duh. But yeah, just some of those changes again. Like I said earlier, like just sparking where things could go that they didn't show us on camera. That one had a lot more twists and turns, maybe in my mind than what you guys thought.
Yeah. So, I mean, Kev's gonna say that I stole his thing just like I stole Batman from him, but Zombies was my favorite as well.
I have photo proof of being Batman before you were born, Brad.
So T'Challa becoming Star-Lord is my second favorite. So I have to put that in there because it was really close for me. I think the Zombies one, I've always been a fan of zombie apocalypse movies and shows, so that one just was very interesting to me. My least favorite was my two least favorite, but I'm going to say Captain Carter was my least favorite because I don't think it was different enough for me. I was kind of expecting more. At least if it was a later episode, I may have enjoyed it more than it being the first episode. So I guess I'm grading it kind of poorly because of that. But the other one, I would have it higher. I have it higher because of the potential it brings to the MCU. But I think from a story and like the amount of enjoyment I got out of watching it is Doctor Strange. I didn't enjoy it as much. It didn't like captivate me as much. But I think that it was interesting to me because I'm excited to see what we could see with, superior Doctor Strange, all these things later on. So jumping off of that, let's talk about the future of the MCU a little bit briefly. So Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings came out September 3rd. We have 3 more MCU movies, and then we have a Venom movie, which we can talk about briefly. It's not as detrimental to what we're talking about today because it's not inside the MCU, but we can talk about it a little bit. And then we actually have 2 MCU shows, Star Wars Visions and Boba Fett, all this year. I think next week we'll talk about next week we'll talk about Venom, Star Wars Visions, because the Star Wars Visions first episode comes out next week. And then we'll talk about Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, and Boba Fett. But this week, let's break down the MCU movies, and then we can touch on Miss Marvel and Hawkeye a little bit because they're still in this universe. So
if we don't talk about Hawkeye, Knesse is coming for us.
Yeah. Yep. His favorite his favorite what actress? What's her name? Why am I?
The MCU crush.
Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, Haley Steinfeld. So Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings. We'll get into our MCU rankings, so don't say where you rank this yet, but I'm curious, what were your guys' initial thoughts? You can say your enjoyment. Johnny's seen it twice. I've seen it twice with Johnny. Johnny, after watching it last night again, what are some things that stood out to you and that you enjoyed?
Man, just the fight scenes in it, it was so much fun to watch. That was honestly like the first half of the movie I enjoyed more than the second half of the movie. And maybe that's just because the finals battle scene, I was hoping for just more of the hand-to-hand combat than I was interested in, the dragons coming in and everything.
Yeah, they're not doing much hand-to-hand combat against
the dragon, bro.
Yeah, but the overall story, I thought it was so much fun. I was a little bit, not a little bit. I was really intrigued by Wenwu's character, and was hoping we'd be able to see, and we still could, I guess, see more about his overall time of conquering different nations and stuff. But I honestly the things that intrigued me most was I think it's Charlene was her name, his sister.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more about her character. I thought she has so much potential, and I'm so intrigued to see with how they left off with the second post-credit scene, which I think where we'll be seeing the 10 rings will be that's going to be a show centered around that.
I agree.
So off that real quick, I think there's potential for two shows, and you hinted at two of them off of this. The first one is obvious with his sister at the end having her thing. The second one I would be interested in, I think it would be an interesting show, maybe a one-season show, would be a Wenwu show, where they go through, talk about his journey before he met, how he got the rings, because we don't know any of that yet. We don't know where he found the rings. We don't know how old the rings are. It'd be really interesting. And maybe they'll talk about that more in later Shang-Chi movies, because I'm assuming it'll be a franchise off of its success. But it might be an interesting TV show for sure.
I honestly think, though, I'm almost hypocritical with myself when I say that, about Wenwu specifically, because I felt like one of the reasons I wasn't as excited as other MCU projects with Black Widow is because we're moving backwards when it's there's so much to look forward to. So that's also something that's in my mind. So
it might be interesting to see.
It was a good movie, but it was 4 years too late.
Yeah.
Black
well
Widow.
said.
Yeah. It might be interesting is that they make it one show, as we get, the show could be called The 10 Rings, and it's about his daughter, and her legacy of the 10 Rings, and it could kind of be about her finding all these things at the compound about her dad and learning about his past and all that. So it might be interesting because we'll get the more lighthearted, fun part of her story, and we might get some more of the past. So I'm curious. I brought this up to Farid earlier today, and I thought, and I wanted to see what you guys thought about this. I think that the only thing I thought it was actually a good part of the show or the movie. I think it actually made the movie get to the point that it needed to, but I thought this was interesting. I think he's the fastest hero to be able to master his abilities of any MCU hero. When Spider-Man got bit by the spider, it took him a while. Now it's different because he has martial arts background. I understand that. But as soon as he had the rings, this man was ready to kill an interdimensional dragon that was ready to devour the world.
Yes, sir.
So I that was the only thing that stuck out to me, and I'm interested to see is there someone else that I'm not thinking of or do you think we're going to get more of this where we're getting right to the point with the MCU?
Well, I mean, for a minute, just like in a sense of some misdirection, when you don't know Star-Lord's dad is Ego, if you don't know about the comics beforehand, you think he's a regular human. And so you don't understand, like, it was so hard to understand, like, how did he touch an Infinity Stone in the first movie when they, at the end, when they end up saving everything? Because he should have died. They all should have died. But then, you find out in the second movie, it's because he is a part of the celestial being, and that's half of his stuff. So he's got powers we didn't know about. I feel like his are the most sneaky because also, like, in Shang-Chi, his mom, they talk about how, she was from, that land, like the village where they're at the end. It was not in our world. Yeah, I can't remember what it was called right now off the top of my head.
Talo, yeah.
Say again. Yeah, Talo, yep. And so, they all had specific type of powers there, but she left her powers behind when she came to Earth to be with Wenwu. But then the way they kind of made it seem is the kids could have inherited some of her powers because it was, again, like she wasn't a celestial being, but she had powers within herself beyond the rings like the dad had.
From the dragon. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Her character was dope. I really liked her character.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I didn't think about that. I think that there's a lot to say about his martial arts training. Like, he was able to first, like you said, Kev, he had powers from his mom. Like, with his martial arts training, he caught on to that part of it pretty quick too. Like, it showed him learning that art form from remembering what his mom had taught him, and that's actually how he was able to manipulate the rings was the movements that his mom had him do. So
I think, sorry to interrupt, but I think really quick, there's like a moment when he's with his dad again, and his dad mentions, like, I trained you so no one on this planet could kill you. So that's kind of what I think about, like, when the fact that he's able to go from, never ever having the rings to now suddenly he can kind of tell him, he can kind of do his thing and like make him kind of do whatever he wants him to do. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I thought the set pieces of, like, the action pieces were really, really great. I thought Aquafina was really, really funny.
Yeah.
Some of the funniest moments, like, man, so funny. But yeah, I really, really, I enjoyed it. I thought the action pieces were phenomenal. I really thought it was really cool.
So what do you guys? There's two mysteries about Shang-Chi. First, I'll ask this question: where do you think the beacon, or like at the end, Wong and Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner, they're at the end in the end credit scene. They're sitting there and they are looking at it and they say there's a beacon and it's calling out to something. Do you guys have any ideas? If you say Mephisto, I'm gonna kick you from the thing today. But like, where do you think that's calling out to? And
you're off the podcast.
Yeah.
That's it. You didn't even survive the first episode if you say that.
It could be a tie-in to any one of the next movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, or
Eternals.
maybe,
It could be an Eternals.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Or actually,
but based on the Eternals trailers, they're already on Earth. So what do they need a beacon for, right? Like, or unless you just mean it could be in the movie, we'll find out who the beacon is calling out for.
Because I did some comic research here on the Eternals. So
that's cheating.
Okay.
But to kind of piggyback off what Johnny said, I think, I'm not sure if it was Johnny or if it was you, Luke. Somebody had said, like, it'd be cool to maybe if they did like a spin-off show or to learn more about the rings. I was thinking maybe like, well, I wonder if in Eternals, if they, like, at the beginning of the movie when they kind of describing when they came to Earth or how they came to Earth, if they might even just show like, oh, look, like the Wakandas, like they're kind of doing their thing over there. We're not gonna mess with them. And then we got this dude over here with these rings doing his thing over there. We're not gonna mess with him. And I was just thinking that could maybe be part of the movie, that they just kind of include that to kind of show, hey, they've been here this long.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So I want to talk about one more piece of Shang-Chi, and then I'll segue to Eternals with what I learned here about the this could be what.
Oh boy.
It's not that deep because I only read one comic series and it was like 5 volumes. So, but.
Well, and they're not basing all the information they're making off any comics, even at certain points. So, it's just helping you form your theory.
Yeah.
What you got for us?
Before we move on, where do you guys think Shang-Chi? Do you think he'll be a central part of Avengers, like not necessarily the MCU. I think he'll be a central part of the MCU, but like a central part of the Avengers. Like, you know, is he gonna be like Thor to Iron Man as Spider-Man is Iron Man and Shang-Chi's Thor? You know, like that type of relationship, or do you think it'll be more of a Black Panther relationship where he's there if he's needed, but he's also got other things he's got to take care of? Where do you think his line is going to be?
I can start. I think he'll actually be a core piece of the Avengers. I think just based on my understanding in the comics, I'm pretty sure Tony and Captain America are like looking to beef up the Avengers, and they actually go to him first. Obviously, that's not really possible because they're both dead. But I think either way.
Wait, what?
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Yeah.
Wait,
either way,
yeah.
I think,
This is past the spoiler point.
yeah. I think either way, he's going to be a major piece going forward. Or at least I hope so. Like I really like the character, and I think it'd be really cool if he was a centerpiece going forward.
Yeah. Cool.
I mean, if we're like talking, you know, like the new Avengers or whatever, based off of, you know, Cap and Tony being dead, I think, you know, it's going to be based like mostly around Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. And then there's all the others at some, you know, you don't think so?
This is supposed to be Tom Holland's last movie coming up. How is it going to be based on Spider-Man?
I'm pretty sure he signed a new deal.
He did.
And if he did,
No, I looked at it right before we started. I swear it's still scheduled as the last movie.
They'll figure something.
I don't think they pin a new deal, bro. Sony is selfish and they're going to mess this whole thing up. Sony's bullshit is going to mess up the entire Spider-Man.
That's too much messing up.
And Luke said to keep this PG-13, so I'm not going to say what I really think Sony's going to do to this.
He's already used his one bad word of the.
Because I like the idea of what you just said, Johnny. I'm just afraid because Spider-Man is one of my favorites, and I just don't think they're going to work it out because I think Sony is going to shoot themselves in the foot.
I think at a certain point that you kind of realize that there's just too much money to be had, and they'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. So with that being said, I think like those are the two like main, and I do think that like Shang-Chi fits into the other four. You know, if they're sticking to 6, there's no rule that says they have to stick to that. But I do think like he'll play a major role, but he's not going to be like, you know, the top tier guy.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's move to Eternals. So Eternals comes out in November. We don't have any other MCU besides What If until Eternals. Venom comes out, but it's not attached to the MCU, so we'll talk about that next week. So Eternals is an interesting one because if I'm honest, I didn't know much about the Eternals other than that Thanos was an Eternal. And that he had a deviant gene. That's all I knew because of my research of Thanos when Infinity War and Endgame and all that were coming out. So I'm curious on first, like, what are your guys' expectations for the movies? I know Kevin Feige said, you know, it's going to play a major role and really shift what happens in the MCU going forward. But at this point, I feel like every movie is going to shift the MCU and everything, so they could literally just say that about anything besides Black Widow. So, like, I'm curious, like, where do you guys think this is going to take us? Do you think it's going to introduce something that we weren't expecting, and all of that? What are your guys' thoughts?
I went first last time, so I'm gonna let someone else.
Well, so I'll start out. So, I'm just like interested to see, like Johnny mentioned earlier, like where they're going to start the history of the Eternals. Because in one of the trailers, they talk about how, you know, they've been on Earth for thousands of years, and, you know, they're asking why you didn't interfere with this, why didn't you interfere with Thanos? And like Luke said in the comics, Thanos was supposed to be an Eternal. He had a deviant gene. He veered off, did his own thing. Like, why didn't they get involved when they saw certain things happening? If they knew what Doctor Strange knew, that there was a 1 in however many million chance that the Avengers could actually save Earth from Thanos, why didn't they step in? Did any of them get snapped out during the blip? I think some of that's going to be interesting to see. And then honestly too, especially because we've had a Thanos already, where if you know some of the comic stuff, again, should be in that kind of club. Like, which one of them is going to be an anti-hero? Like, which one of them is maybe going to be even evil? That's not really telling the other people in there, but he's going to be the surprise villain towards the end and have some sort of agenda that's going to call on us needing Captain Marvel more like Luke said, superior heroes in the next phase. I think some of the humans, I think, are going to maybe have to get kind of not phased out, but not as important roles like a Black Widow or a Tony Stark. Obviously, Iron Man's technology and stuff puts him in there, but just a Hawkeye, like people like that. Like, are they going to be as essential in Phase 4? Because if there's Eternals and Celestial beings, and Captain Marvel has her full powers, like some of those humans aren't doing nothing. And so it's just like, are we going to see way more powerful villains and way more? Which is why, just to backtrack for one sec, I think Shang-Chi will have a more major role because of the rings for him. I think he'll have to have that if they have stronger villains and just stronger universe, like what they could go towards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, on that note, like I do think it's one of those things, as you mentioned, Luke. It's at this point, like everything has to raise the stakes, and that's kind of what's to come up after Loki. It's like, okay, like it's only going to get more and more insane from here to try to move our minds off of the Infinity Saga and just wrap our minds around new characters, new heroes, new villains. So
yeah. So here I'm gonna go and theorize here a little bit with the Eternals. So if you guys look in the trailer, they talk about like that it started. We have, I think they said we have 7
The emergence.
days. Yeah, the emergence. So from what my understanding from the comics is that they're talking about the machine, which there's a machine at the center of Earth in the comics of the Eternals that the Eternals would use to, like, first it helps the Earth, do different things, provide, but it also was their way of transporting themselves different places on the planet to take care of things. So there was like, a portal at New York City. There's a portal at like all these major hubs, and that would be the way they could travel around the planet. In the comics, in part of it, it's used as a tool to destroy the Earth. And the reason the Eternals were made was to protect the humans, because the Celestials love the humans, so they wanted to protect them. So the Eternals aren't what the Celestials love. They love the humans, so they were made to protect them. So the theory is that, Thanos coming, because he's an Eternal, they didn't interfere because of, it wasn't just the humans, it was the entire, like, universe, which is, interesting. And they'll have to explain a little bit more of that. But this is like, this can completely destroy the Earth, because the machine gets started again, and someone's probably going to be using it for evil. So my theory is that this machine that's at the core of Earth when it was made is also what the rings are calling out to, that it started this machine again, and that it's kind of working in unison. And I'm hoping that if that's the case, we'll kind of get at that in the Eternals a little bit on more of Shang-Chi. So it'll be interesting. That's my theory. I could be completely wrong. I read one comic series, so this could be way off base, but we'll see what happens.
All in.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw my $52 at the at Eternals. So cool. Eternals, November 5th. I'm pumped about it. I think it's gonna be exciting to see something new, similar to Shang-Chi we haven't seen before. Something that I haven't ever read the comics about. Didn't ever watch a cartoon about it or anything. So it'll be interesting to get something new.
Even based on like when I was watching Shang-Chi, I thought like, oh man, this is kind of it has a different feel than the other Marvel movies. Like, I mean, at least to me, it had a different feel, and I loved that. And just from watching the Eternals trailer, I was like, this looks completely different from anything that they have done before. Like, it's at least again, like for me, it felt very different, and so I'm really looking forward to see what they can do. Get Angelina Jolie on the big screen again, what I'm saying, 4K, what I'm saying, PG-13, but it's going to be, I'm really, really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really awesome. And I love that dude the Irish dude, at the beginning when she's like, the emergence has begun, he's like, how long do we have? And she's like, 7 days. I'm like, dude, let's go. Let's get some Irish dudes up in this movie, man. I thought that was cool. And I'm not even kidding. I was like, hey, that's sick. Some Irish. I like that. That's a cool accent.
Yeah,
Anyways, brother, what's
I'm
up?
Are you
excited.
100% sure he's Irish?
No.
Can't
no
wait for the
idea.
trolls if he's wrong. Can't wait for trolls to be like, actually, he's New Zealand. Actually, he's from Scotland. What are you talking about, bro?
I will say
I'll pull it up.
after you mentioned that, Kevin, of like if one of them, actually is hiding, his actual intent from the others in terms of
Or hers.
what.
It better not be the
Or
Irish dude.
hers.
But anyways, if it has like a mystery type feel to the movie, I think that'll be pretty fun. Just something new.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of the basis of the comics. It was like who's helping Thanos try and kill the Eternals. That was the comic I read, and so like the Eternals turn. The other thing about the machine is it's what makes the Eternals never die. So like when they die, they go back to this machine and it like reproduces them back to who they were, but they don't remember anything from how they
Interesting.
were. So yeah, so Shang-Chi November 3rd or November 5th. Sorry, we'll be there. Opening
Eternals.
night.
Eternals, November 5th. Yeah.
The cast looks incredible. I will say that.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot to tell. There's a lot of characters, so I think that's going to be their hardest thing. I'm going to be excited for the movie no matter what, and I'll probably like it. But I think the only thing that can make it hard is if it's hard to track because there's so many of them going forward. So the next one, I think, is the biggest one of the year. I honestly think it's going to be the biggest movie of the year and maybe the biggest like MCU movie besides Infinity War and Endgame, and has a chance to surpass them because of the character that it is. Maybe not past them, but past them on some records here, is Spider-Man No Way Home. What are you guys' expectations? Are you? I mean, I think everyone's seen the trailer. The Green Goblin, making his appearance.
Johnny's heartbroken, but he saw the trailer.
Sorry, I've seen spoilers, but I haven't seen the trailer.
For our listeners out there, we're just now convincing Johnny that he should watch trailers before the movie comes out, so that we can have these conversations.
Hey, I can still have the conversation. I just, I've been filled in with little things here and there.
You're gonna have to watch trailers messing with us, bro.
Yeah, it was crazy that Porky Pig was in the trailer. Huh?
Yeah, and Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst, like it was crazy.
But yeah, so great point. So we're seeing villains from the past ones. It seems as though the Green Goblin from the original movie, we didn't see his face, but we did hear his voice, or at least his laugh, and the Pumpkin Bomb. We saw Doc Ock. We heard him say, "Hey, Peter." What are your guys' expectations? Are we going to get a Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield? Is this going to be the biggest letdown of all of MCU history, and it's going to tank the MCU, and we're all never going to do another podcast? What are your guys' thoughts on, is it actually going to happen? Are we going to see everything we're hoping for? And how are they going to do it?
Yeah, I was not a believer for a long time that they would do it. Mm-hmm. And then once, like, Doc got, confirmed, I was like, okay, like there's no way they're not going to at this point. And I mean, my expectations are absolutely through the roof. Mm-hmm. And I do think those expectations can be hit. And I mean, for me, I'm
Kevin Feige shaking in his boots, man. Johnny said the expectations are too high.
I mean, but truly, that's shaking how I feel, man. Like my expectations are for it to be a top 4, top 5, like at the lowest. Yeah. And I think that's, it's crazy to say, but I feel like it's realistic. With it specifically being Spider-Man, that's. Yeah. I think it's just, it has that potential, and I think it'll hit it, but I really don't want to be let down.
Agreed.
I'm in the same boat, Johnny. My expectations are really high. I remember when the trailer for Homecoming came out. I didn't even watch the trailer because I was like, I can't believe they're doing another Spider-Man movie. I was like, I'm not even gonna watch this movie. I instantly threw it off like it's gonna be stupid. And then I went to go see it, and I was like blown away by how good it was. And obviously, Far From Home was great as well. But My expectations are very high for this movie. To answer Luke's question about the Toby and the Andrew Garfields, I don't even care if these bums are in the movie. I don't even care. Like I don't want to like
Bums.
I don't want to get myself to think like they're gonna be in it, and then watch it, and then they're not there. So I'm just being like they're not in there, and if they are, then it's a great surprise, and if they're not, then I didn't let myself down. But I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously because it's the next Spider-Man movie, but also because I'm like wondering why is Doctor Strange helping him out to do this, and it seems like Doctor Strange is very careless with his spell casting and his magic. But I mean. Yeah, I mean, this dude was texting and driving, so what can we expect? You know, I mean, so I don't really expect any better from him. But no, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm very excited to go see it in theaters.
For sure. So, how do you guys think that? There's a lot of conspiracies around this movie. You know that we're gonna get a Daredevil, we're gonna see Mephisto, which is always in everything. We're gonna see, the Sinister Six. We might even get a Venom teaser in there. I've seen it all. Are you guys hoping that they don't try and bite off too much, or do you want them to just throw as much at you as humanly possible and unpack it later? What are your hopes for this movie? Do you want to see more introduction or kind of a mixture of both type of thing?
Well, I think that number one, I'm a sucker for a Spider-Man movie for the most part. So my expectations are high like these guys, but I think it's going to meet. But I think it's going to meet them in a way we don't expect, sort of like Infinity War and Endgame. Mm-hmm. I think, like I mentioned, because of contractual reasons, I think they're going to try to like throw some shit at us, but there's going to be closure. But also, like Johnny said, if it could be a top 4 Marvel movie, which means maybe that will give them opportunity to continue going forward. So I don't think it'll be too ridiculous, right? Where there's no coming back from it because they just botched everything necessarily to surprise us. And then that's the end of Spider-Man in the MCU. But I think the Sinister Six is the most realistic like expectation that's out there. I'm a little bit older. The more we talk about things, I'm dating myself. I was watching X-Men in the 90s and the original Spider-Man cartoon when y'all were in diapers. So I like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. I did not watch the Andrew Garfield ones because I just couldn't do it. At that point in my life, I wasn't interested. But I wouldn't be mad if they were in it, but I don't think they will be. I think we're lucky that we'll see Doc Ock from the Tobey Maguire trilogy. Was it trilogy or was there 4? The 3. I think we're lucky to see that, and it'll be fun to see that because maybe he is the Doc Ock from that universe, whatever maybe number we'll find out that it is, like they do in the comics and some of the old cartoons. But I think that's just again going to be fun, and I think Green Goblin will be from a different area, not from Peter Parker, like maybe Miles Morales or something. And because we're going to see some multiverse stuff, that's how they'll meet, and they'll be from different universes. Yep. But we obviously won't see all the Sinister Six because Mysterio was in the last one and he's gone. So I think we'll just get kind of pieces of some of these things that we want to see. Well, and the Sinister Six being the most realistic.
So you know the most about you and Farid probably know the most about this. So I'm going to ask a question. So I want to count out who we have confirmed: Doc Ock, Green Goblin.
That's it. That's all I know.
Well, the Electro. We saw Electro in the.
Oh yeah, Electro. Yeah.
Vulture
Jamie.
can come back.
He's
Sandman.
He's just in jail, right?
Yeah.
He's
did he die in Homecoming, or did they get him put in jail?
No.
The other one. So it was not Sandman. Sorry, that's in the other one. So it was Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Scorpion. He talks to Vulture at the end of Homecoming. Mm-hmm. Vulture, and then we see. Kind of Professor what is it? Crocodile. Why am I right?
Killer Croc?
Killer
no, that's
Croc.
Batman.
Yeah.
That's Batman. That's Batman.
Sorry. Yeah, but Professor Croc, something like that. But not as we got to figure that one out. But that's 6. So does the Sinister? They might introduce a different Sinister Six because they already used Mysterio.
Someone in chat is saying that Sandman is in the trailer, so I'm gonna pull it up right here real quick and.
Oh yeah, we do see the sand.
So I have it up too. So we got Doc Ock, Green Goblin,
Spider-Man.
Electro. Sandman is in there, and it is the Sandman from Tobey Maguire. It's the same guy.
Okay.
At least the
really
picture
in
of what I'm looking at online. They're
couldn't
saying
see that.
Sandman's in it, but it might not be him as the actor. The Lizard is who you guys are thinking
Yeah.
of. And then, okay, and so they're saying there's some rumors that Paul Giamatti could be returning to play Rhino. But then they're also saying that it could be Vulture, Shocker, or Scorpion as the last.
Oh yeah,
to
there's
fill out
Sandman
the-
right there.
Huh.
But again, that is the one from Tobey Maguire series. So this photo could be from that movie. It could be from Spider-Man 3,
I think you're right, Kev.
which
I think
is
they gotta go
is a
big.
wildly overrated, hated movie in my opinion. I did not like Eric Foreman as Venom, and I didn't like the way the symbiote situation happened. But it wasn't as bad as a lot of people say it is.
Yeah, agreed.
It
I
just
would love to
needed-
see the
it
Sinister
needed to be
Six
there.
finally.
So the last thing I want to talk about with Spider-Man, can we have, or do you guys want to have a Spider-Verse movie without getting a glimpse, even if it's just a little bit? We've had this teased a little bit to us already, of Miles Morales, and I think this is a huge opportunity for them to bring Miles Morales in as another Spider-Man. Do you guys think we'll get any version of Miles Morales? We got it teased with Donald Glover being in, I think it was Homecoming. No, it was Homecoming. When he webs him to the car and he calls his cousin Miles, and that's his uncle, or his nephew Miles, and Donald Glover's playing his uncle. Do you guys think that we'll get a version of Miles Morales in this movie, or do you think they'll save it?
I don't think so.
I think if they do go, crazy with bringing the two, Tobey Maguire and what's his face? You know what I'm talking about.
Andrew Garfield. Yeah.
Andrew Garfield.
I think if they bring both of them, I do think they bring Miles Morales into it as well.
So it's almost like the Spider-Verse cartoon, but No Way Home.
Yeah.
The greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. Yeah. But we'll talk about that later.
That's definitely a topic we got to talk about on next.
But I don't think. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't think
it
they
has
do.
been rumored that the kid from Stranger Things has been seen on set.
Bro, maybe he
Which
was
one?
just pulling up to say hi. I don't know his name. I'll pull it up.
I'm just joking. We know which one it is if you watch Stranger Things.
Okay,
There's
okay.
one black kid in the group. There's no way it's one of the white kids. Let's throw that out there right now.
Yep.
It's 11. Cool. So that's the future of the MCU. We got a Hawkeye trailer. I want to talk about that a little bit. Miss Marvel, we don't have a ton of information other than who's playing the character. So from a Hawkeye perspective, are you guys excited for this? Is it just something that's going to come out and it's like, cool, give us a little bit of filler, or what are you guys' expectations and excitement around it?
I'll go first because I got the quickest opinion. I'm not excited about it. I don't care for Haley Steinbeck. I just don't care for it at all. I'm still gonna watch it because it's Marvel, but Haley Steinbeck, I'm just not really.
Steinfeld.
I know.
I know you're doing that for our friend's sake, but
Trolling.
Yeah.
Farid is the troll on the show, y'all. Just know this.
It is what it is. No, I'm not excited for it
Hopefully
at all.
we never have her as a guest on this podcast. Can I say
If we do, I'm still gonna be like Haley Steinbeck. I'm so glad you're in the podcast. Thank you for coming. And she's gonna be so confused, and I don't even care.
it's cool?
I do not have that opinion.
Yeah. So Johnny, let's see the opposite side of this.
Yeah, no, I mean Hawkeye's like definitely my least favorite of the original Avengers. And with that being said, like when they announced that he was getting a series, I was like, man, I don't know. Like I feel like there's so many cooler things that could be done. But as we have gotten the shows, like WandaVision, that was another one. I was like, really? Like I'm not interested in either one of those characters. So at this point, man, Feige we trust. Like it's gonna be good, and it's gonna be setting up future things. I would love to see Yelena somewhere in that show as well. From the post credit scene in Black Widow, but I don't know what my expectations are other than I should enjoy it.
Yeah, I think my excitement stems off of Endgame. I love the character of Ronin. I think it's just like I like. I mean, I'm a Batman fan. I like the darker, type of heroes. Like they've kind of become heroes or anti-heroes because of the darkness, and that's kind of like Ronin.
Vigilante.
Yeah, vigilante. So that's kind of the thing of Ronin, and it kind of seems like we're gonna get a little bit of Ronin in this, teased in the trailer, but with Kate Bishop dressed as Ronin, so we might get a little bit of glimpses, maybe some flashbacks, which would be awesome to see a little bit of, for sure. Kev, first impressions. Excitement. It's Christmas themed. Is it going to be the new Die Hard?
That's my favorite too.
Yep.
So I'm on Johnny's side with this one a little bit. I'll just throw this out there. You guys aren't going to hear me say this a lot on this show, but I don't really have an opinion on it. I don't really know how I feel about what to expect. After Endgame, Infinity War, and kind of the way that it looks like the new Marvel phases are going, like where would Hawkeye fit in? He's kind of like an OG, and they're going to have new waves. And like I said earlier, like I just think the basic humans who are just skilled type of heroes, a Black Widow type, Hawkeye type, I don't know where they're going to have power when there's more people like Thanos around. And just I'm kind of a humbug until the week of Christmas anyway. So they're going to drag out and make me watch a couple months worth of a show that's all Christmas themed. Like I don't know, man. So I'm really neutral right now. I don't have expectations. I think I'm going to enjoy it, but I don't see where it's going based on kind of where my mind phase 4 is headed. And I'm with Johnny with WandaVision too, not to bring a new category in because I know we're getting close to time limit, but I had no idea what to think about that show. Like those characters are cool, but they're going to get their own show. I was ready for Loki, some other things, but yeah, I wasn't sure about that, but it blew my expectations away. So I have a feeling that maybe Hawkeye can do the same.
Cool. All right. We're running out of time, so we're going to do this tonight with the MCU rankings. We were going to go through the whole thing. That's not going to happen, but I do want to at least get us started here. So let's start with this. Let's go through, and we'll do our first. I think that the bottom half is going to be faster than the other half because we're going to get in more discussion. Hopefully, later on that everyone is in agreement. I know that some of you guys are going to have outrageous takes because I know you. But we'll start here. So least favorite MCU movie. I will go first. It should be unanimous or at least close. The Incredible Hulk is my least favorite MCU movie.
Yeah.
You need to cut it. Get it out.
So bad. So bad.
Sorry, Edward Norton. You were a lot better in Fight Club.
Agreed. Anyone have a differing opinion? This first one we're gonna kind of go through. I'll say mine. If you guys have a differing opinion, we want to hear it, but we'll kind of go through it a little bit. So, differing opinion. Incredible Hulk, last place.
The worst.
Yeah.
Thor,
I
feel like the only other movie that could be. Yep.
Thor: The Dark World. That is the second to last, in my opinion. And this is interesting because Rotten Tomatoes has it opposite. So Thor: Dark World is last, and Incredible Hulk, and we posted that earlier on Instagram. Follow us at Korg's Headphones. But that it's opposite. Does anyone have a differing opinion? Have something else at 24? Johnny, you look like you're ready to tell me I'm wrong here.
Yeah, man. As we're talking about it, even in my list when I wrote it down, I got Dark World at 24. But I'm actually going to bump it up a slot, and I'm actually going to move Captain Marvel down to 24.
Okay. Captain Marvel 24. Okay, so now I think we're going to have to start going in a circle here because we're not going to be able to agree.
Yeah. The only reason I'm bumping it up one is just the characters in it. Anytime I can get Loki on the screen, I'm down. And so cool. I'm moving it up one slot.
Farid, 24, where do you have?
24, I got Thor: The Dark World. Yeah, I don't think I really need to go into it too much. Just, I agree with Johnny. I'm a sucker for Loki. I love Loki, but this one just belongs in the bottom feeder movie categories.
Yeah.
Now let's not make it out to be a bad movie.
In terms of the rankings,
new movie.
In terms of our rankings, I should have been more specific.
Kev, 24, Thor: The Dark World, or are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just gonna ditto that one and not talk about it, but ditto for sure. 24.
23,
It
Kev.
doesn't deserve any more of our time.
We know Johnny's 23. It's Thor: The Dark World. Kev, what is your 23?
Yeah. Ooh, 23 for me. This might be controversial for some. Tomatoes list. Actually, my 22 and 23 are the Ant-Man movies. Man, like they were funny. They did certain things for me, but they just because when we started this conversation, our pop culture text message chat a couple weeks ago, we talked about what was most important, right? The ever-ending argument of what's the MVP, the best player on the best team or the best player that is needed on a team. And so, to me, just like we talked about the movie was for entertainment value. That was a but to me, when I can't figure out if I was entertained or it's important, I'm going to importance. Now, obviously, in Infinity War and Endgame, there was some for the quantum realm, but just I don't know. In those movies, just those two individual movies for me weren't super great. I've seen the original Ant-Man twice now, and watched Ant-Man and the Wasp. We went opening day, Luke, and it was cool. I was entertained, but importance to me wasn't high.
Yeah,
That's tough. That's tough.
Farid,
I know that's unpopular opinion.
That's all right.
We were on 23.
Yep, 23. What's your 23?
I got Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought I was excited for it because it was kind of going back in the 90s and but I
What's
just
wrong with the
didn't.
90s for it?
No, I'm saying that was what I was looking forward to in the movie. I was born in the 90s.
Okay.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, but y'all don't remember the 90s.
If anyone's asked, Kev was born in 1973. So when you guys
90.
Are so I'll throw this. My 23 is Iron Man 2. And I have that lower. My 22 is Captain Marvel. So I have it lower as well.
Okay.
So Johnny, what was your 22?
22, I have Iron Man 2.
Okay. Farid,
Yeah.
Iron Man 2, or what would you
I
have?
have Black Widow.
Black Widow. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
So, cool. So right now we've gone to 22. I'll go next, and at my 21, at 22, I have Captain Marvel. Forgot to say that. I agree. Captain Marvel, Iron Man 2 were very hard for me.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Although Captain Marvel is so low for me, that is one of the movies that I'm more looking forward to coming up, just based off of it's not just her, it's the Marvels.
Yeah.
I'm just more so I'm looking forward to see more about Miss Marvel and Monica Rambeau. I think that's going to be I want to see more about her powers more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Monica Rambeau sounds like a luchador named Monica Rambeau. I don't know why.
I gotta say
Rich
this.
Rey Mysterio's sister that's coming out to be in the tag team match.
I gotta say this too. Iron Man 2, and this is coming from one of our commenters here in Twitch. But the reason I don't like Iron Man 2, not for Tony Stark's or Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, not for the introduction of the characters that we like as Black Widow, all that, because I think it's very important and I enjoyed those scenes. Whiplash is the worst villain of all of the MCU in my opinion, and so I couldn't handle it. And I hope we get more Justin Hammer later on, but Whiplash,
He's such a dick.
I wanted it to be more exciting. So, but yeah, 22 Captain Marvel for me. I think, do we have everyone else's 22s? Have you guys all said 22?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So 21 Iron Man 3 is what I have there. Any differing?
Same here.
21
Same here.
Iron Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
21.
I have the Iron Man's fairly higher than you guys. So again, unpopular opinions for me.
I have 21. I have Thor. I have the first Thor movie.
Okay.
Yeah, that's mine.
All right.
I'm a Black Widow now because of my importance conversation before. Like it's just it was 4 years too late. If that came out before Infinity War, it's gonna be great and thread right into everything. And then it'll segue because the whole point of that movie this late was to segue who the next Black Widow is gonna be, and it's gonna be her sister. Yep. And that's all we got out of that movie. A good story, and she's gonna be the next Black Widow.
So I agree
that's
with
21
you.
for me.
I had my 20 was Black Widow. So I'm right there with you.
Hey man, stop copying me.
Johnny's is 20 as well. Love it. Farid, what was your 20?
My 20, and I'll just drop 20 and 19. I got Iron Man 3 and Iron Man 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Right there at near the bottom.
Okay. All right. Let's go to 19. Johnny, what's your 19?
I got Doctor Strange.
Really? Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say this about Doctor Strange before we move forward. The first time I watched that movie, I walked out of the theater and I said, that's the best MCU movie I've ever seen. I went and saw it again 2 days later and walked out and was like, that was not as good as I remember it being the first time I watched it. So I think that I'll say it has some of the coolest scenes, and I think we're going to see more of that in No Way Home, where we saw it in the trailer with, things shifting and everything. But yeah, I had to say that about Doctor Strange. Kev, what's your 19?
Man, maybe unpopular opinion, but the first Captain America.
I'm right there with you. 19, Captain America: The First Avenger for me as well.
I'm not too far off of there. I'm not too far off of there either.
And Fred, your 19 remind me was Iron Man 2, right?
It was Iron Man 2, yeah.
Okay, so 18 for me is Avengers: Age of Ultron. I love seeing it come together, but it's
Greater movie.
It's definitely down there for me. Johnny, what were you saying? Sorry, I didn't interrupt you there.
No, I was just saying it's an underrated movie. That movie's
fair
good, man. You go back and watch it, and you see how many things they foreshadowed in that movie.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that.
I'm with you, Johnny. I have Age of Ultron top 12.
Top 12. Okay, I'm pretty
high.
close to that.
Where did you have Age of Ultron?
I had an 18.
Okay. I have Ant-Man and the Wasp at 18.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I have Age of Ultron at 17.
Kev, what's your 18?
Man, I enjoy this movie more than you guys did, based on, but it's still not high on the list. But Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got the first
So
one.
I'm just now catching up. I think I'm the last one to list that one.
Yeah.
I got the original Thor.
Original Thor.
But y'all know I like Brie Larson, so.
So, Johnny, I'll throw. Yeah,
Johnny, you said next is Thor. I'm with you. Thor is next for me. So.
Yeah.
So that one I really struggled with was Avengers: Age of Ultron and Thor. When I'm redoing this list, I'm like, man, it could shift up there. The only reason I like that first Thor is that it brings in one of my favorite characters of Thor. So I think that one could really shift, but it's more of an enjoyment level. Like if I was going to choose which one to watch, I'd probably watch Age of Ultron again rather than the first Thor. But just from my remembering singing in theaters, all of that, that kind of has that impact on me. So 17 is Thor for me. So it's right above Age of Ultron. Who's Fred? You said what was your 17?
My 17 is Age of Ultron. I thought Ultron was so annoying. I just couldn't get over the.
Mic down.
There we go. Sorry, I was messing with my mic. I just couldn't get over how annoying his character was with just the stuff he would say, but no, the action scenes and obviously the iconic scene from that movie I thought were really cool. And like Johnny mentioned, there's a lot of really cool stuff that was foreshadowed and kind of set up in that movie as well.
Yeah. 17, Kev.
Original Iron Man.
Okay. Much lower than what I have it, but
yeah,
I'll be interested to see
Yeah,
where everyone else has it.
Yeah,
For sure.
I got.
Well, I'll be honest too. With some of my rankings, as the story progressed, when you look back at some of the older movies, just it's not that again they're bad movies. It's just they're not as good as some of the other ones where the story is just so much more involved.
Yeah, fair enough.
Stakes are raised. Yeah.
Johnny,
I got Captain America: First Avenger.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So 16, I have the first Ant-Man as my number 16. So a little bit higher than Kev, but
You liked Ant-Man and the Wasp more than the first one?
I did. I enjoyed that movie more than I enjoyed the first one. Yeah.
I got Ant-Man and the Wasp at 16.
Okay.
I got Captain America: First Avenger at 16.
Got it. And Kev, what was your 16?
I'm at Iron Man 2 now.
Okay. Cool. So after that, I have Ant-Man and the Wasp. Right after, those two probably could interchange based off of which movie I saw last, if I'm honest, Johnny. But I did watch Ant-Man and the Wasp most recently, so that's why I have it a little bit higher. Because these lists change for me all the time. So Johnny, what is your 15?
15, I got Ant-Man.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Kev?
For me.
Man, we're at 15?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a couple of the TV shows on my list on the rankings. Sorry, so I might have missed a few here. But Spider-Man: Homecoming is going to be my next one. I said Iron Man 2 previously.
Whoa,
That's
Low.
Yeah.
low.
You're alone on that one.
Yep, and that's fine. The other Spider-Man movies are ranked.
We'll dig into that more because we're gonna have to. As everyone says this, we're gonna talk about the craziest opinions here.
I'm with
And I said
Johnny.
Homecoming, right? I said Homecoming, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
I'm with Johnny. I got Ant-Man at 15.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Paul Rudd. I think he's so funny. So it could have been a terrible movie. I still would have liked
seeing
it.
him as the talking head.
That was great.
Zombies that was so good.
That was funny. Kev, our chat's letting you have it. They're saying egregious take, Homecoming top 5.
Ooh, no, it's not quite top
they're
5,
wrong.
but
Their opinion's wrong.
15.
That's the first time that's getting dropped on this podcast. Their
Shout
opinion
out
is
Adam
wrong.
Herman. Shout out Adam Herman.
Shout out Adam Herman.
Farid, why don't
Can't
you go
wait
next?
to have that talk on this podcast.
Yeah, I know, same. And I've taken notes. But Farid, what is your 14?
My 14 is Guardians 2.
Really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Kev, 14.
Iron Man 3.
Okay. Johnny?
I might get some blowback from this, but this is where Shang-Chi falls for me.
Okay.
And people said my Spider-Man take was bad. Come on.
Yo, no, come on now.
No, it's the Spider-Man one is just as bad, if not worse, in my opinion. All right.
I know. That's okay.
14. So my 14 is Doctor Strange. I have Doctor Strange at 14. My 13 is Marvel's The Avengers. And Johnny, go ahead and go with your 13. This is the last one we're gonna do tonight, and then we'll do our top 12s next week. Next week's episode.
13, I got Age of Ultron.
Okay.
Kev?
13.
I'm right there with Luke on the last two. 14 and 13 for me are Doctor Strange and the first Avengers.
I have 14, I have Guardians 2, and then 13 I have Doctor Strange.
Cool. So I think that our most outrageous takes tonight are first Kevan with saying that Spider-Man: Homecoming is that low, and then for some Shang-Chi being that low as well. It's a new movie. The hype is high on it. I'm interested to see where this falls later on. But I'm with you guys. We'll talk about this more next week. Our chat is blowing Johnny up right now. Well, it's just one person, but he is blowing Johnny up. So that is our MCU rankings. We'll do the top 12 next week. I'll do a follow-up post on our social media about the top 13 and talk about each person's top 13 and see where we lie. You can see comparisons and all of that. Real quick, I want to finish this up with a little bit of some background stuff. So go follow us or some housekeeping things here. So go follow us on Instagram at Korg's Headphones. Everything's at Korg's Headphones. Follow us on Twitch. Go and send it to your grandma. Have her follow us on Twitch, and then
Come on, baby.
Subscribe on YouTube. We'll be posting the follow-ups on YouTube for you guys to go back to, share it with your friends, and all of that. We'll also be following up with social media posts daily so for you guys to interact with and all of that. So give those a like. Help us get this going and moving forward. Have some friends talk about it. You can follow Johnny personally at Johnny's Funkos. If you want all your Funko needs, all your Funko pictures. You can follow Kevin West at K_West3. Got that
3.
right?
Yeah.
There we go. He does not post Funko pictures. And then you can follow Farid.
Yeah.
Say that again, John. Okay.
I said I just have a big head.
Yeah.
So that's right.
Just start bobbling.
That's free. You can follow Farid at Farid_Araya. And it is on the it'll be in the description, but it also is on the video here. It's all the spelling for all of these. You can follow me at LJM Fandom and follow us there, and then follow us on Instagram again at Korg's Headphones. We appreciate anyone that was able to come to the live stream tonight. If not, we will see you guys next week, as well as see you guys on Saturday on YouTube. So appreciate everyone. Have a good night.